It's I have to watch the videos of it because I was so switched off and in the zone that to me it was the preparation for a fight. But I'm gonna go past that. You spoke about Chris being involved in Chris Jr.'s career and about how much it's all about him.
Yeah.
You must understand, what made Aaron great in boxing was not just the good fighters around, was Chris Eubank was the biggest asset we had because of his personality and his persona. He could not be ignored, and he made the fights bigger because of who he was and what he was, and he made the fights bigger because of who he was and what he was, and he's doing the same today. I mean, Ben Jr. and Eubank Jr. they can both fight. They're both very good fighters, but Chris is making it a bigger show and more interesting and drawing more people to see it because of his personality. So it's almost like
Eubank Sr. has recently stirred up significant attention in the boxing world, making bold and harsh remarks about his son, Chris Eubank Jr. These comments have shocked fans and analysts alike. This isn't merely a father's feedback, it's been described as a deep disappointment. Eubank Sr. didn't hold back, openly questioning his son's career and claiming that Jr.'s approach to the sport lacks the determination and commitment that led to Sr.'s own success, according to Sr. While Chris is still at an ideal weight of 160 pounds, which should work to his advantage, he believes his son has lost the mental sharpness needed to succeed at the highest level. Sr.'s concerns go beyond physical attributes. He feels that Jr., at 34 years old, may be running out of time to reach the potential that many thought he was capable of. The criticism doesn't stop there. Eubank Sr. has also expressed doubts about Jr.'s mental toughness and his ability to handle the fierce demands of boxing. The situation becomes even more charged when Sr. casts doubt on whether his son can ever match his own legacy, particularly as time passes and Jr.'s career progresses. The key question now is whether Chris Eubank Jr. has failed to meet expectations, or if his father is simply being too hard on him and unable to embrace the changes in his son's boxing journey. The underlying issue appears to be the strained relationship between the two, leaving many to wonder if this marks the beginning of the end for their shared boxing story.
Solid words. You are not fighting Billy Saunders, you are fighting the promoter. And you will not beat the promoter. As they say, you'd have to knock him out to get the draw. That's the humor they use as the influence of the promoters. And you gave him the first 6 rounds. As far as I'm concerned, the fight belongs to Harlem the Good.
No one expected it. Steve Collins has just rocked the boxing world by shedding light on the turmoil surrounding Chris Eubank Jr.'s career and the overwhelming control of his father. This story isn't merely about a fighter facing challenges in the ring. It's about a man struggling to establish his own identity while constantly being overshadowed by his father's presence. In contrast, boxing icons like Nigel Benn have taken a step back, allowing their sons to rise and create their own legacies. But Eubank Sr. has refused to step aside, keeping himself in the spotlight and turning his son's career into a public spectacle. However, there's a surprising twist. Collins isn't just offering a helping hand, but is also exposing the flaws in this toxic father-son relationship. The truth is, Chris has spent much of his career not only fighting opponents but also dealing with an ongoing struggle for self-identity, constantly trapped by his father's influence. Additionally, Collins discussed the personal tragedies that have deeply affected the Eubank family, adding even more complexity to this ongoing saga. The big question now is whether Jr. will ever break free from his father's shadow, or if he'll remain locked in it for the rest of his career. Feel free to share your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video.
Junior, I mean, he's stylish and he's skillful. And if that Liam Smith defeat, which worries me a bit for Chris, if that's sort of part of the past, that the rematch was emphatic for Eubank Jr., but it wasn't Liam's night really, and he had an injury going into it. So that defeat that Eubank suffered worries me a bit, but he's fought in better company, and Conor Benn's got it all to prove. But if there's one guy that wants it more...
Adam Smith has just made waves in the boxing community with his candid take on Chris Eubank Jr.'s future. On one hand, Eubank Jr. undeniably possesses exceptional talent, and his potential to be a dominant force in the sport is clear. However, Smith highlighted a significant concern: the lasting impact of Eubank Jr.'s defeat to Liam Smith. While the rematch may have presented an opportunity for redemption, it wasn't a level playing field, with Smith fighting through injury. Despite Eubank Jr.'s strong career, that loss continues to cast a long shadow, revealing vulnerabilities in his approach to the game. When it comes to Conor Benn, Smith doesn't hold back, describing Benn as hungry, driven, and eager to show he's the better fighter. The crucial question now is whether Eubank Jr. can move past his previous setbacks, or if Benn will seize the moment to prove he's the one to dominate the ring.
Maybe that's what Eubank Jr. is thinking, that Conor Benn is going to come out and leave everything in those first 3 or 4 rounds. And if Chris is still there, it could be trouble for Conor. But Conor could knock him out. Barry could be right.
On the other hand, Adam Smith has just turned up the heat with a bold prediction about a potential clash between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Eubank Jr. is anticipating Benn to come out aggressive in the early rounds, unleashing everything he's got to gain an early advantage. The reality is, if Eubank Jr. can survive those intense moments and keep his composure, it could create serious problems for Benn. However, Smith doesn't shy away from the facts. Benn's power is undeniable. With the right game plan, he has the ability to end the fight with a single punch. Smith also hints that Barry might be onto something, pointing out that Benn's unrelenting aggression could be a game-changer in this matchup. The big question now is whether Eubank Jr. can handle Benn's fierce early attack, or if Benn's knockout power will ultimately decide the outcome. The tension is rising, and this fight is shaping up to be a true battle inside the ring.
You know, for all the promotion, for all the nonsense, for all the crap, you've got 2 fighters here. Might not be for a world title, but if you want to see a scrap, you're going to see one, because these two like to fight. Look at their careers. They are the fighters. They are the brawlers. They love it. And they only know one way. And that's what's going to happen on April 26th. They're going to meet in the ring, in the center of the ring, and they're going to go off. And that's why the casual fans are going to love this fight. Yes, the boxing fans will.
Ben Shalom is leaving no room for doubt, making it clear that this isn't just another fight. It's an all-out war. Forget the flashy titles, the endless media hype, and the build-up. This is about 2 fighters who have forged their legacies through sheer aggression and unrelenting pressure. When these two meet on April 26th, there will be no holding back, no testing the waters. The gloves will come off, and chaos will break loose from the opening bell. There won't be any feeling out period. It will be 2 men going at it in a savage battle, exchanging blows until one is left standing. Once the first punch is thrown, the energy in that ring will be so intense, you won't be able to look away. This won't just be a fight, it will be an all-consuming spectacle, lighting up the arena in a way few fights ever do. The real question is, who will fold first under the immense pressure? This is a clash that won't need scorecards to crown the victor.
So, yeah, I think the difficulty for Conor Benn in this fight is the weight and is the size. I think he's a better fighter. And I think at a natural weight class, he's a big favourite in the fight. But coming up 2 weight classes, it makes it a 50-50 fight. And you ain't going to blink.
On the flip side, Eddie Hearn isn't holding back either, emphasizing that Conor Benn is stepping into a perilous situation. The real challenge ahead isn't just about skill. It's about the significant size disadvantage Benn faces. Moving up 2 weight classes is a massive challenge, altering the entire dynamic of the fight. At his natural weight, Benn might have been the favorite, but now he's venturing into unfamiliar territory, where every moment in the ring could make all the difference. The truth is, the bigger fighter has the advantage in terms of physicality, power, and endurance, and one mistake could quickly turn the tide in the other direction. With both men possessing explosive knockout power, this is a fight where no one can afford to take their eyes off the action. The big question now is whether Benn can adjust to the size difference and prove he can compete with the bigger fighters, or if this leap will reveal the limitations of his power. It's a high-stakes battle, and that's what makes it a true spectacle.
And Conor Benn is an animal with a hot head. And as soon as that bell goes, you've only got to watch Nigel Benn's fights and Conor Benn's fights in his career so far to realise he's going to set about him from the first bell.
On the flip side, Eddie Hearn is not holding back, making it clear that Conor Benn is walking into a dangerous situation. The real challenge isn't just about skill, it's the significant size disadvantage he faces. Moving up 2 weight classes is a huge challenge, one that changes the entire dynamic of the fight. At his natural weight, Benn might have been the clear favorite, but now he's stepping into unknown territory, where every moment in the ring could shift the outcome. The reality is that the bigger fighter holds the edge in terms of physicality, power, and endurance. A single mistake could send Ben into a tough spot. With both fighters possessing the ability to end the fight with a knockout, this is a matchup where no one can afford to lose focus. The crucial question now is whether Ben can adjust to the size difference and prove he can compete with larger opponents, or if this jump up in weight will reveal the limits of his power. It's a high-stakes showdown, and that's what makes it such a thrilling contest.
And I think, I think Chris is leaps and bounds ahead of Conor. His experience, the guys he's been in with, take away the weight because, Chris is obviously going to be disadvantaged in there with the weight as well. But just ability, boxing skill set is on a complete different.
On the other hand, Harlem Eubank is unequivocal in his belief that Chris Eubank Jr. is far ahead of Conor Benn, not just in terms of size or power, but in every aspect of boxing. While much of the focus has been on their weight difference, Harlem sees the true gap in their abilities, experience, and overall skill set. Chris has faced some of the toughest fighters in the sport, consistently testing himself against elite competition, whereas Ben, despite his aggressive style and knockout power, hasn't yet encountered the same level of adversity. Harlem acknowledges that Chris will be giving up some size due to the weight cut, but stands firm in his belief that Chris is vast. Experience and high boxing IQ will be too much for Ben to handle. For Harlem, it's not just about raw power. It's about who can think on their feet, adapt in the heat of battle, and manage the pressure. In his eyes, Chris operates on another level, and is confident that when they meet in the ring, Chris will demonstrate why he's the superior fighter. Furthermore, Harlem believes that Ben's lack of experience against top-tier opposition could be his downfall. When confronted with Chris's composure and strategic approach, he thinks Ben may struggle. Harlem emphasizes that Chris's ability to adjust to different styles is second to none, making him a nightmare for any opponent.
But there's no honour in smacking someone with an egg. Shouldn't have happened.
How do you think the fight's going to play out?
I'm backing Conor Benn. I know Conor. Spoke to him a few times. Always been a top bloke to me. His dad's a top bloke. His dad's a legend. And I'll be backing him. But it's going to be difficult, as he's already alluded to, the two weight divisions coming up. But it'll also be difficult for Eubank to stay within that hydration clause, I think it is. So it's all to play for.
Meanwhile, Johnny Fisher isn't holding back and has thrown his full support behind Conor Benn, with some compelling reasons for doing so. Ben is more than just another fighter. He's the son of a boxing legend, carrying a legacy that demands respect. Fisher, having had numerous in-depth conversations with Ben, firmly believes in his skills and determination. However, there's a twist. This fight isn't going to be an easy challenge for Ben. Moving up 2 weight divisions is a massive step, one that Ben is fully aware of and has openly acknowledged. The real question now is whether Eubank Jr. can handle the immense pressure of the hydration clause. Fisher sees this as a major potential hurdle for Eubank, one that could completely shift the direction of the fight. This isn't just another bout. It's a monumental chance for both fighters to solidify their legacies. Ben has the heart, passion, and raw talent to push through, but it's going to be a battle from the very first bell. Every second will count, and the stakes have never been higher. The question now is, who will rise to the occasion, and who will crack under the weight of it all?
No, not yet. I need to see what he looks like on the scales. If there was no rehydration clause, I would pick Eubank, but I need to see what he looks like on the scales first, and then if there's a rehydration clause and he already looks bad, it's going to be a hard night for him.
Furthermore, Carl Frampton isn't holding back, suggesting that Chris Eubank Jr. could be heading straight into a nightmare. The harsh reality is that no one seems to be talking about it. The weight cut is already grueling, but with the added rehydration clause, it could spell disaster for Eubank's career. Frampton isn't convinced that Eubank will even make it to the ring at full strength, and is waiting to see how Eubank looks on the scales before passing judgment. Without these added restrictions, Frampton would back Eubank in a heartbeat. However, let's be real. Draining yourself before stepping into a high-pressure fight is a recipe for disaster. Eubank has always been an incredible force in the ring, but if his body fails him before the first bell rings, this won't just be a tough night. It could turn into a one-sided destruction. Frampton sees the potential danger. If Eubank looks weakened at the weigh-in, this won't just be another fight. It could mark the beginning of the end. Like, comment, and subscribe for more updates and analysis on the biggest fights in boxing.